It felt like a fairy tale, endless attention, deep conversations, the feeling of finally being seen. It felt like everything you'd ever wanted. But what if that overwhelming, perfect feeling isn't love at all? Love bombing doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like everything you've ever wanted. And that's exactly why it works. Unmasked psychology. See clearly. Live freely. Love bombing is one of the most effective manipulation tactics narcissists use. And it works so well because it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like a gift. In fact, love bombing is often the opening move in narcissistic abuse. Love bombing means someone floods you with attention, affection, and promises at an intensity that doesn't match the depth of the relationship. Constant messages, extravagant compliments, grand gestures, plans for a shared future, after days or weeks. This is called future faking. It feels like you've found your soulmate. But here's the truth. This isn't love. It's an investment in making you emotionally dependent. Because the higher you fly at the start, the harder you fall when the intensity suddenly drops. And that's exactly the plan. Love bombing works in 3 phases, and each one has a clear purpose. Phase 1. The overwhelm. In the first phase, you become the center of this person's world. He wants to know everything about you. He remembers every detail. He says things like, "I've never met anyone like you. With you, I finally feel understood. I knew from the first moment that you're special." The problem is, he doesn't actually know you yet. But he mirrors you, your values, your dreams, your language. This is called mirroring. You're not meeting a soulmate. You're meeting your own reflection. That's why it feels so familiar. So right. So perfect. But real connection takes time. Mirroring moves too fast. And now that you're bonded, the game changes. Phase 2. The bonding. In the second phase, attention turns into dependency. After that intense opening phase, something has already shifted inside you. You're now conditioned to this dose of affection. You start expecting it. You start needing it. You organize your day around it. Maybe you're spending less time with friends, less time for yourself. Not because you have to, but because this person takes up so much space that nothing else fits. This is isolation through intensity. And right at that moment, when you're already emotionally invested, something decisive happens. And once you're dependent, they play their strongest card. Phase 3. The withdrawal. This is the real manipulation. Suddenly, without explanation, without reason, he pulls away. The messages slow down. The compliments disappear. The warmth turns to cold. And you ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Nothing. This is the test. The test of how you react when affection is withdrawn. And most people do exactly what the manipulator wants. They adapt. They become more accommodating. They make themselves smaller. Anything to get that feeling from the beginning back. The fairy tale was staged, but your feelings were real. You didn't deceive yourself. You were deceived. And that's exactly what makes this tactic so effective. So why does this work on smart, strong people? If this sounds familiar, hit like. It helps others realize that perfect doesn't always mean love. Sometimes it's a warning sign. Why do smart, strong people fall for love bombing? Because it speaks to one of the deepest human needs: to be seen, to be understood, to be chosen. Especially if you didn't get what you needed in the past, whether in childhood or in earlier relationships. Love bombing can feel like healing. Finally, someone who gives, who stays, who sees you. But love bombing isn't healing. It's the exploitation of unhealed wounds. Manipulators instinctively sense what you're missing, and they give it to you until you're dependent. That's not your weakness. That's their tactic, and that's why it can happen to anyone. So how do you recognize love bombing before you're emotionally hooked? Here's how to spot it early. First, it moves too fast. Big emotions, big words, big plans, after days or weeks. Second, you feel like the only person in the world. Constant attention, no space, no natural boundaries. Third, you're subtly being isolated. Not through rules, but through intensity that leaves no room for anyone else. Fourth, they seem too perfect. They agree with everything. They seem to share all your values. No rough edges. Fifth, when the intensity drops, you feel guilty, as if you need to earn back something that was taken from you. That's not love. That's conditioning. One important truth: real love doesn't overwhelm. Real love grows. It takes time to build trust, to truly know someone, to make room for your whole life. If someone feels like the answer to everything before you truly know them, that's not a soulmate. That's a reason to look closer. You deserve someone who gets to know you slowly, who stays when the intensity fades, who loves you without making you feel dependent on them. If you want to understand why people stay in these dynamics, even when they sense something is wrong, watch this next. Why you stayed so long. The truth about trauma bonds. And if you want to recognize the manipulation tactics behind the charm, watch 10 Things Narcissists Say. Subscribe for new videos every week, calm, clear, and direct. You deserve clarity, you deserve peace, and you deserve love that doesn't need to overwhelm you to hold you. Clarity is the first step to freedom. Unmasked psychology. See clearly. Live freely.